Alicia, Governor Rick Scott unveiled his first pass at major changes to the state's budget. It was over 1,000 pages long, and it immediately drew criticism on some points and praise on others. Most states in the U.S. have tough choices they're facing, and the federal government is weighing in. Did you know Congress is reviewing legislation that would make it easier for states to declare bankruptcy? Wow. What does that mean for you as an investor? Joe Krier, president of Krier Wealth Management, is here to explain what's going on. Good morning to you, Joe.
Hey, Stacey.
Real quick, let's go over some of the points of Governor Scott's budget. He's projected a $3.5 billion budget shortfall. That's a good ground to have to make up.
Yeah, Florida's in a tough spot here. You know, over the real estate boom years, the revenues increased. Government expanded to spend that money. Now, of course, the economy has shrunk and the size of government hasn't yet.
Right.
So spending cuts across the board. You were just talking education a little bit ago, and they're looking at a 10% cut there, which would be one of the toughest things to get through. 8,700 job cuts, 1,700 of those in correction facilities. And then they're talking about privatizing Medicare reform to the tune of $4 billion savings.
And the one at the end there, business and property tax cuts, that's something we've been talking about all week here. How can you cut so much and then cut taxes? Yeah,
it gets down to the age-old argument. Kind of the Bush argument was you give businesses an incentive to do business, and the economy will grow and thereby generate more tax revenue in the long run.
But that's the long run. What about the short run?
Yeah, and you know, they don't want to cut businesses off here just to get this budget balance, because they've seen, as in the state of Illinois, where a massive tax increase has sent businesses right across the border and just saying, hey, we can run up to Wisconsin and do business and save money. So, you know, they've got two choices here: cut spending or raise taxes revenue, and they're trying to do a little bit of both here.
All right. It makes people very uneasy when they hear that Congress is discussing laws to make it easier for states to declare bankruptcy. All right. Why are they talking about this?
Yeah,
Is anybody on the verge of bankruptcy?
Well, what is it? 46 states are underwater right now, okay, as is the federal government. You know, the federal government's going to be underwater by $1.5 trillion. And what they know is that everybody's made promises that are going to be tough to keep, as in the form of police, fire, teacher pensions.
So is pension the biggest thing?
It's pretty, it's the largest expenditure of every state right now.
Okay.
So what they're looking for is some tools to be able to negotiate that, and just the threat of bankruptcy out there hopefully will bring more people to the table here.
Okay, so do you believe that this is kind of a ruse by the, not a ruse, but just a little pressure to say, hey, we got to get these pensions down?
Sure.
I mean, this is what the city of Jacksonville is going through right now with the Fraternal Order of Police.
Right, yeah, and you know, the Chapter 9 reorganization there is basically just would allow states to reorganize their debt, make it easier, maybe lower their payments a little bit. And I do think it's mostly a threat, but people need to be talking this through. They've got to make serious cuts here. We're off the bottom on this recession, and if we wait before making the cuts, then, you know, government's just going to grow again with the economy. This is the point where we have to get our fiscal house in order.
And you were just telling me that New Jersey so far has been the only state to do what with their pensions?
Yeah, they've actually gone out and negotiated a cut in the monthly income of most of the retirees in the state.
And that's really tough to do politically. I mean, that's hard to get through a legislature, but the reasoning behind it was that if you don't do it now,
10 years from now, there'll be nothing. Yeah, so
that's tough.
It's those tough choices, and it's good to see that all the new governors in the country are actually stepping up to the plate. It's a good time for them to do it when they're fresh in office, rather than later in their term when they're running for re-election.
And just to leave you with one thought, there is an expert who said if many of these struggling states were able to rework some of their pension obligations through bankruptcy, their balance sheets would immediately look better.
Yep.
You know, nobody wants to take anything away from people who are promised things.
Yep.
But like Rick Scott is saying, let's do it for incoming state workers, but that's not going to solve the problem right now.
For sure.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Good to see you
Stacey.
here. Joe Krier, president of Krier Wealth Management.